In today's match preview FA Cup special, you will get Sheffield United and Man City team news ahead of Saturday's FA Cup semi-final clash at Wembley, as well as last time out, player connections, score predictions, and many more sections I think you'll really, really enjoy. Now, this is an unprecedented preview because for the first time ever, we have all the boys in.
We're all together.
We're all together. Have we ever been all together on one video?
I don't think so. Nick, Hal, Ollie Man and Di. It's unprecedented, like you say.
I can't believe he's taken that off you already, Ollie.
I know. I come up with one great nickname for myself, and he takes it away immediately.
You thought of it. You're reading comics if you think you could come up with that.
Hal, just dab your brow and let's get on with it.
I do declare. We're good.
Right, okay, so I'll crack on and get into the last game. I was going to do the Blackburn Rovers game, but it was so long ago, I can't remember what happened. We were just right good. So we're talking about Sheffield United 1, Bristol City 0. As we are recording this was last night. Not the best preparation for our semi-final clash, as we weren't fluid as I would have liked, but we got the job done. We were a little bit sloppy, but that fantastic bit of play between 𝗟𝗋𝗻 Ndiaye and James McAtee just sealed that win. What a finish from James McAtee as well. Unfortunately, James McAtee won't be able to play in the next game. Same as Tommy Doyle. Hal, what do you think to that?
Well, I think it's a real shame Doyle and McAtee can't play. I think it's wrong. I think when you're talking about Bristol City, let's give a nod to that's now 9 assists in all competitions this season for 𝗟𝗻𝗻 Ndiaye. If you're wondering why Doyle and McAtee can't play, this is a scenario that we feared would happen, and after checking the official FA rules, it's clear that both lone players never really had a chance of being involved, even though at one point there was some hope. The association, here's the quote, will not give permission for players on loan or work experience to play against the lending clubs. All in all, I think it's a real shame for McAtee and Doyle, who definitely earned the right to play in an FA Cup semi-final, but they'll have to watch on from the sidelines and hope for the best, whatever that will be. And I don't really know what they'll actually be hoping for. Maybe Sheffield United win so they could play in the final.
Well, yeah, they would do, wouldn't they? They would play in the final. However,
yeah, but they're both Man City fans, and they've not made that a secret. Do you know? That's why I say that.
Yeah, absolutely. No. The thing is with James McAtee as well, yeah, he might not be on work experience, but it certainly looks like he's on work experience, doesn't he?
Wow. Yeah, I remember when I did work experience. Ollie, what was your first work experience?
Bluebell Wood Charity in town. That was mine. I was about 14. That was where I did my first work experience. Hated it. It was so boring.
Well, that was nearly good. That was nearly the right answer. Do you want to try again, Ollie?
Yeah, Bluebell Wood Charity in town. Fantastic. Everybody go there.
Everyone go there. Like it's a pub or something like that.
Mention Ollie's name, you get a good seat.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it'll be perfect for you. It's just what you want. I'll get you a discount on second-hand trousers.
Right, Ollie, let's move in to last time out in the FA Cup against Manchester City.
So, Sheffield United against Manchester City, last time out in the FA Cup. Now, it was the 4th round, January 2008. And at this stage, City hadn't quite become the behemoth that they are these days. They still had decent money. They were managed by super Sven Goran Eriksson. And yeah, that just about sums up where they were at the time. Now, this was a really interesting game that we all only remember for one reason and one reason only. And that reason is that Sheffield United took the lead fairly early on. We broke down the left. Lee Martin put in an absolute shocker of a cross, if we're being honest. It was going nowhere. It was going to be easily cleared. And then it got stuck in a big old group of balloons, bounced off them, and ended up at Luton Shelton's feet. He took a touch, smashed it into the corner. And Man City fans, honestly, I went to uni in Manchester, and every Man City fan brought it up as if it was still important 6-7 years later. So I'm sure they will bear this in mind, and they will not be trying to create the party atmosphere. They will not be bringing balloons to Wembley, because they daren't let this kind of thing happen again. Now, after that, Man City were trying to come back into the game. Elano had a really good effort from about 30 yards. Really well struck free kick, but Paddy Kenny made a fairly comfortable save. And then United made it 2. A quick throw-in on the right created space, and Richard Dunn couldn't quite clear it away from the ball into the box, and John Stead made it 2-0 with a really simple finish. Now, at half-time, Man City hadn't had a good performance. Obviously, they were 2-0 down, and they tried to make changes to try and get themselves back into this game. They brought on a young, unknown striker from their academy. That guy's name, Daniel Sturridge. He'd only been on the pitch 3 minutes when he scored his first professional goal. United couldn't quite clear a corner. He took a fantastic first touch and then smashed it in off the underside of the bar. But it didn't matter. United hung on to the win. We knocked out the big boys. And as I understand it, that's now 7 times that we've played Manchester City in the FA Cup, and we are yet to lose one. Feeling confident?
I'm not feeling confident, no. Absolutely not. But Balloongate was fantastic, and the fact that they still bring it up when it was their fault is also hilarious.
It is. Honestly, it's beautiful. Every time they bring it up, it's like you caused your own issues. This isn't one of these like silly scenarios of, oh, weren't we cheated? No. You brought loads of balloons. You wanted a party atmosphere. You threw them on the pitch. Instead, you created an easy goal for United. Like, surely they learned. Honestly, the highlights of it are so funny because you see this ridiculous goal, and then the next clip, rather than showing United celebrating, just shows Man City defenders stomping on balloons.
It was Joe Hart as well, weren't it? The goalkeeper stomping on the balloons as well.
Yes, I think so. Admittedly, it focused in on the defender who'd fallen over. He tripped over one of the balloons as the ball goes in. I think he's called Michael Ball. Something, not the singer. Yeah. Something like that, though, I think. And he's the one they focus on.
Did you say you think it's Michael Ball? How do you not know who Michael Ball is?
Everyone knows Michael Ball. He played for England, Ollie.
All right, that doesn't mean that he's the defender who fell over balloons. Michael Balloon, more
Do you want the Blades team from that day?
Yes, I do want the Blades team from that day, Hal.
How many are still playing for us right now, Hal?
Oh, not that many, mate. Paddy Kenny, I mean, talk about a great signing. £45,000 he was signed. It's amazing, Nick, isn't it? When we spoke to Simon Tracy, how many quality keepers have come in for such a small amount? Derek Geary as well, 25k signed from Stockport. He played right back. Then you've got Lee Bromby, Chris Morgan, Gary Naismith, Keith Gillespie, Super Gary Speed, Stephen Quinn, Lee Martin, Blue Boots himself, Luton Shelton, and John Stead. You had Billy Sharp, who is still playing for us as a sub, came on for John Stead in the 49th minute, and Michael Tongue was on for Shelton in the 76th minute. Unbelievable scenes, outrageous scenes.
Are you saying that Chris Basham weren't with Sheffield United at that point? Because it feels like
Chris Basham, he must have been watching from the sidelines, I'm sure, but no, not actually involved on Balloon Day.
No. Now let's move on to talking about this actual game. And Hal, I think you've got some head-to-heads for us, haven't you?
Ooh.
Yeah, last 5 games, team 4, Manchester City. I mean, they beat Burnley 6-0. They beat Liverpool 4-1. They beat Southampton 4-1. Bayern Munich 3-0. Leicester City 3-1. Win. We're recording this before their European game for Sheffield United. Of course, we've had a win-win-loss, win-win. The most recent win, a 1-0 against Bristol City. I don't know how much, honestly, Nick, we can take from that. Manchester City, in my opinion, despite not being top of the Premier League, are the strongest team, player for player, in England.
Yeah, I think not just in England.
Oh, the world.
I would say, I mean, right now, when you look at who's still in Europe, for example, they've got to be strong favourites for doing a treble as well. That's what they're playing for at this stage. They're in incredible form. They do, yeah, this is the best I think I've seen them look for, well, maybe ever.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think also the fact that both teams that are in second in the Premier League and the Championship are the best team in that division. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the best Man City team I've ever seen, and I saw Jamie Pollock. Top scorers for each side, Iliman Ndiaye and Erling Haaland. Iliman has 13 goals, an XG of 11.76 for goals. Minutes per goal, 262. He's got 9 assists in all competitions and a FOTMOB rating of 7.33, which is really good. Erling Haaland has just slightly more. He's got 32 goals, an XG of 22.65, which in my opinion is too high. Minutes per goal, 70 minutes, 5 assists. Ha! Take that. And a FOTMOB rating of 7.76. Haaland has 14 goals in his last 6 games, which in my opinion is showing off. 47 in all competitions. That's more than 10 championship teams, including 7th place Blackburn Rovers. It's more than 13 Premier League teams. More than 13, Nick, including 3rd placed Manchester United. But I think there's one thing we can all agree when talking about a comparison between Iliman Ndiaye and Erling Haaland, it is that big league salad. I don't want my striker having hair like that. I want a nice trim, something you can set your watch to. Erling Haaland, he takes it out, it's everywhere. Thoughts, brackets, feelings, brackets, reflections.
Reflections are that Erling Haaland is absolutely terrifying. I disagree on the hair. Just think it, gives him that nice. He's got L'Oreal adverts in his future,
good?
And that's really what he wants.
Why don't you have hair like that then?
Because I can't pull it off because mine goes curly. I've got my mum's hair. It just doesn't suit me. It's a disaster all round, to be honest. But I think there is an important stat, Hal, that you've not covered here, and that is, of course,
I doubt it.
Number of goals for Senegal, in which Iliman Ndiaye has 1, and Erling Haaland doesn't have any. With only one player worth having then in there, particularly in that shirt, Nick.
There you go. And it's on the back as well for good measure. I can't be bothered to turn round. Right, so let's get into some team news now. We all know after Adam Davies's heroics in the last 2 games, letting in 1 goal, which was only a penalty in 2 games, and the Blades winning both games at home. Unfortunately, he won't be playing in this game, in my opinion. I think Wes will be in between the sticks after serving his 2-match ban for his sending off against Burnley away. But like I said, Adam Davies, I think he's been fantastic. So if he gets the nod, I'm not as worried as what I once was. As mentioned earlier on, James McAtee and Tommy Doyle are both unavailable in this game due to FA Cup rulings, with Man City being their parent club. So I think that will mean Fleck and Norwood will come into this team, which it won't be music to most fans' ears, but at the same time, I think that experience always goes first over untested players, especially in a game like this where I think we'll be defending and trying to make sure we're switched on all the time. And Nell will hopefully be available, as at the time of recording this, his wife hasn't given birth yet, so let's see what happens. But I do think that 𝗂𝗏𝗡𝗄 will slot in there very, very nicely if Nell can't make the game. 𝗂𝗏𝗡𝗄, I think, will be fit enough. And you know what 𝗂𝗏𝗡𝗄's like. He always wants to be on that pitch if he can. My predicted team for this game, as you can see on screen, we've got Wes Foderingham in goal, the same back 3 that played in the last game against Bristol City, the same back 5, actually, with Baldock on the right and Max Lowe on the left. I think for a defensive line, I think that's probably the best we can go for against Man City. At the heart of the midfield, obviously, as we alluded to earlier, Fleck and Norwood, I think, will slot in there, even though Koulibaly could feature, or Blaster on the bench possibly too. So we've got lots to choose from, but not a lot to choose from at the same time, in my opinion. Then we've got Iliman and Sander as 2 players that are going to be trying their best to try and support Mr. Ollie McBurney. Now, also Jebo might come in here for me for the legs as well, because if we're going to hurt Man City, I think the only way we can do it is kind of on the break, over the top, get some pace in behind the defenders. Other than that, yeah, I don't think we've got a chance.
No, I do completely agree, actually, to be honest. The only way I can see us really getting in behind them is a defensive slip, a mistake. So you need pace to really be able to break them down. You've got somebody who's going to run. He's going to have to probably take it from just inside their half and run the whole way. So you've got to have legs, you've got to have pace. And I do think Jebo's not a bad option for that.
Well, I've got a question. Nick, Ollie, will you celebrate a shot on target for Sheffield United like it's a goal?
Probably.
Almost certainly.
Outrageous.
Wait till we win a corner, Hal.
Oh, win a corner? Oh. You're reading comics if you think we're getting a corner.
What if we just get into their half?
I mean, I've dreamt about it. Let's wait and see.
Absolutely. Go on then, Ollie. Tell us all about Manchester City's team now.
So, as far as I'm aware with Manchester City's 11, I don't believe they've got any injury issues, which of course is absolutely fantastic and just what we wanted to hear. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we are recording this before the Bayern Munich game, so there's every chance that somebody with flu gets on their plane home. And maybe that gives us half a chance. But given they have got really huge games around this one, I do think there's a lot of chances that they're going to make a lot of changes. As Hal covered earlier on when he went through their run of fixtures, they've had some really big games recently. Bayern Munich, they'll have played twice by the time that we play them. They've got potential title decider against Arsenal in the next midweek after this game. So I think they're going to take a chance against us. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be an unbelievably strong team. Let's not pretend otherwise. They're going to have their usual system, which starts as a back four, but becomes a back two in possession, when generally speaking, two of their defenders step into central midfield, give them an extra little bit of control. In this game, that'll probably be the fullbacks, because I do expect them to rest John Stones, but he's been incredible in playing this role recently, so maybe it's for the best that he does miss this one. In terms of their wingers, they've been a lot more orthodox this season. They've been staying wide, been trying to make sure they've got enough space to create overloads in midfield, but also they've been trying to get crosses in the box to feed this really big Norwegian guy. I don't know if you've heard anything about him, but he's absolutely massive. But you never know. We might be lucky. He might not play in this game. If I was going to guess their starting 11, I think it'll look something like Stefan Ortega in net. He has been deputising for Ederson through the cup run, so I expect he will do the same here. I think the back four will probably be Kyle Walker, Ruben Diaz, Aymeric Laporte and Rico Lewis. As I say, giving John Stones a rest ahead of that big title decider. In midfield, I think we'll see a lot of changes. Not that it sounds like there's that many changes when you hear the list of players. I think it's probably going to be Calvin Phillips, probably starting in the deep position. I then think in front of him, you'll have Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, with Mahrez and Jack Grealish on the wings. And then who will they be behind? Will they be behind the, ominous man in the corner of Erling Haaland, or will they be behind the young player of the World Cup, the third top scorer of the World Cup winner, Julian Alvarez? When you put it like that, I'm not sure it makes much of a difference, but I think it will probably be Alvarez from the start and Haaland off the bench just if they need him. Scared yet? Are we all, that sounded good? We think confident?
I think you're right about Haaland not playing, to be perfectly honest. But you know that he's going to be on the bench. You know that KDB is going to be on the bench.
Yep.
All ready to come and absolutely muller us.
Yeah, just in case there's any chance that we might win the game, they will all be on the bench, ready and waiting. And yeah, it's scary. And yet, somehow, still feels a little bit fun.
I've got a question for you before we move on, completely off topic. However, those three teams that are still left in the FA Cup other than us, who do you think we've got would have had the best chance of beating?
Man United.
That's
crazy
weird,
to say,
isn't
isn't it? Yeah.
Well, last time we played them, we beat them. That's all you go off, isn't it?
Keane Bryan and Ollie Bird. What a world.
That's all we need. Bring them back. We're sorted. It's going to be very different this time round.
Oh, God.
Each and every game we get an opposition view from, created by Roy's View. Go to roysviewfrom.com. Check it out for yourself. Here's some of the quotes that Manchester City fans have said from their mouths. We underestimated Southampton in the League Cup. Let's not do that with Sheffield. So that's annoyed me. I'd like to see them make it back to the Prem, even though they were the red and white side of Sheffield. I felt in the 1980s they were the City's underdog club, and I had more affinity with them for that reason. Add the fact that they have two of our young players on loan this season, I'd welcome them back up. Don't need that. Don't want that kind of comment. With all due respect to Sheffield, they will not blow 100 mil on some key signings, and McAtee will suffer in a struggling team. He can only do something with his physique at this stage if he and the team have ball possession. Will be interesting to see where his next move is. If Tommy Doyle is Prem level, then he should be closer to 40 million. So if they get him for 20 million, there should be a bigger than usual sell-on fee, e.g. 50% or add-ons that rise it up should they stay up. Sheffield United could be in trouble next year, even if they go up. Most of their current players are out of contract and aren't Premier League quality anyway. whilst a couple of the better ones, Berger and Ndai, only have 1 year left, so they might have to cash in on them. They're also currently under a transfer embargo. I wouldn't want McAtee or Doyle anywhere near them next season. So just some comments from Manchester City fans ahead of this one. Of course, Nick, football's changed, hasn't it? Back in the day, you get an FA Cup semi, there was always a little bit of hope. Nowadays, there's only one thing that actually counts in football.
Yeah, absolutely right. But also, you didn't used to go to Wembley back in the day. It used to be Villa Park or Old Trafford. Where would it have been for this one, do you reckon? Old Trafford? No, it can't have been Old
I'd
Trafford.
like that. And I don't. Well, maybe not Old Trafford, but Villa Park probably. And that would have been perfect. It'd have been so much easier for everyone. I hate London, as you know. I think it's rubbish and busy, and it's going to rain, and it's going to be just a terrible day. Anyway, the referee for Sheffield United against Manchester City is Stuart Atwell. He's from Nuneaton, so Warwickshire. He's taken charge of 24 games this season, giving 91 yellows. That's high. 4 reds and 3 pens. He hasn't refereed a Sheffield United match since our 2-0 defeat at Crystal Palace on the 2nd of January 2021. I don't want to remember that. Ethan Ampadu doesn't want to remember that. He was in charge of that Spurs 2-1 win against Brighton game that you might remember. Brighton lost 2-1 to Tottenham on that match, but it was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It was a game where 2 of Brighton's goals were disallowed and they had 2 penalty appeals turned down. I thought it was very odd. I know that was mostly down to VAR, but he didn't give them initially. So I think that was slightly strange. We'll see what he's like, whether it'll even make any difference.
So that's a lot of fun, isn't it? That obviously we had this massive game where the referee got everything wrong and then VAR got everything wrong. And within, is it 3 games since then, we've had both the VAR official and the actual match referee because, nothing like failing upwards.
Right, so next up it is score predictions. And before I give you mine, Ollie gives you his, Hal gives you his, I've got something very, very special to share with you. Now, I have got a couple of footballers who have shared their score prediction who played in the last time we got to an FA Cup semi-final. Now, are you ready, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Hi, guys. Mark Howard here. I'm here to give my score prediction on the FA Cup semi-final between Sheffield United and Man City. I hope it's a really tight game. I'll be watching, cheering on the Blades. Really hope that they do well. I'm going to sit on the fence here. I'm going to go. It's going to be a tight game. Sheffield United will make it really difficult for them. Hopefully score a goal on the counter-attack or a set piece. I'm going 1-1. Hopefully it goes to penalties and we'll see who wins those. Always a difficult one to judge. Up the Blades. Come on, let's go.
Hi guys, Bob Harris here, just to give my predictions for the semi-final of the FA Cup this week. Sheffield United versus Man City. I'm going to go 2-2 and I think Sheffield United will nick it in extra time. It'll be a very difficult game for the Blades, obviously missing some players, especially Doyle and McAtee have been great this season, missing against their parent club. But I think the Blades can cause an upset. With Man City, I think they will make a few changes, obviously, because they're still going for the Premier League, chasing down Arsenal, and obviously still in the Champions League, the one that they've not won yet. So, yeah, I'm going for the Blades to cause an upset and to nick it in extra time. Up the Blades.
Brilliant.
So there you go, lads. What do you think to that? That was a little bit of a special treat I planned, and I didn't tell you about it up front. The last time we played in the FA Cup semi-final, those boys were playing in the first team, scored 3 goals at Wembley, unfortunately conceded 5, but we were 2 divisions lower than Hull City. What were your memories of that day?
Yeah, that was a special day, wasn't it? I mean, when we went there with no expectations, and I think it's fairly similar to this one, to be honest. We're going into the game, we're saying, actually, we're not expecting to win. We're going there to have a really good day, and hopefully the team are going to do us proud. They certainly did us proud that day, particularly, the way that we went forward and attacked the game. I think that's the main thing for me is we've seen so many of these insipid, never going to score a goal performances at Wembley that it was so refreshing. And yeah, honestly, what a day. And counterpoint, and I'll try and find this and I will put it out on Twitter for everybody to see. I think I made my match preview debut on this game. I was filmed by the FA or by United. I can't remember exactly what it was where, but walking down Wembley Way, there is somewhere me and my sister and me looking at a camera and going, "Come on, you blades!" And it's not the best, but I will find it, I will share it, and you will all get to watch my embarrassment.
When did you lose your Cockney accent, by the way?
Yeah, I just managed to drop it at some point as I was getting forward. Now I just, you've got to give a little bit of something. You've got to give a bit of
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, just adding a little bit for the vibes.
Just talking about the last time we're in the semi-final in the FA Cup, let's get back on to talking about this time. Now, I'm going to go really, really positive and say that we're going to get beaten 3-0.
Yeah, you know what? That does feel fairly positive. I've been describing par. I think par is what happened to Burnley. So Burnley lost 6-0. That is par score. So anything below that, I think, is fairly good. But I actually think it will be slightly better than that. I think we've gone through their team and the changes they'll make. I'm going to say 2-0 to City.
Right, well, clip this, replay it, stick it on the wall. Blades, I'm the only one who's saying it. I believe it. I really think it. This is going to be someday. And I mean this. This will not only be the greatest FA Cup upset of all time, this will be Sheffield United's greatest ever result. We are going to beat Manchester City by 1-0. It might not be pretty. It might come late, but it's going to happen. Doesn't matter if it's in off a backside, off a knee, or off any other part of the body, as long as it's not the hand. It's going to be fantastic. We're all going to remember where we were on this day.
Wembley, I think, is the answer to that
Wembley
question.
will be
But
the
that
answer.
is quite a rousing speech that I enjoyed, Hal. I think we should clip it. I think everyone should see that. And I tell you what, if it's 1-0, Jesus, I honestly, I'm not going to make work
If
on
it's
Monday.
1-0, Jesus.
I'm not making work on Monday. I'll tell you that for free. Oh, God.
Well, I've got work at 3:30 a.m. on Monday, and I've got to fly back. And I land on Monday morning. I will be making it. What state I'll be in, who can say?
Now, we've got to finish on player connections. Bit of fun. Love doing this. So, first of all, I think we should go one by one. James McAtee.
Michael Brown.
Simon Tracy.
Tommy Doyle.
Richard Edgehill.
Ched Evans.
David Somé.
Gareth Taylor.
Sun Ji-hai.
Oh, I was going to say Sun Ji-hai. Richard Wright.
Kyle Walker.
Pass.
Andy Morrison.
Andy Morrison, that's not a real player. You can't have that. You can't have fake players.
Of course
making names
of course
up.
it is. I remember him. Away at Grimsby. Fantastic.
So they're all ours. We ran out in the end. Of course, we were going to eventually. If you could just leave them in the comments if you can think of any more. There must be some from before we were born, like me and Ollie. Hal, he should have got way more when he was born in like 1942. So, yeah, leave them all in the comments, guys. Really appreciate everybody joining us today. We've had a really good time. Hopefully, we'll have a really good time at Wembley too. What time are you getting there, Ollie?
We're leaving at 10:15. So, whatever time that gets me there. 12:30, something like that.
It's a bit late, that, Hal.
Early, and it'll be raining. I guarantee it. And I'll be leaving 28 degrees. Oh, what am I thinking? I'm an idiot.
Are you going to mop your brow just one more time for the fans?
I do declare.
Right. Let's leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Really, really appreciate everyone being here. Very, very exciting to be in another FA Cup semi-final. Hopefully, we're able to win one day, but it won't be this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.